This is the EVP Podcast. Well, hello, ladies and ghouls. This is the EVP Podcast. Brought to you by the team Energy, Visions, and the Paranormal. And we're going to talk about something very paranormal. I'm working on my voiceovers. I'm
That was spooky.
Voiceover acting.
Oh, I got chills.
You missed it earlier when Beaker was putting his cap on. I was making the noises. Twist, twist, twist.
Did they miss it? I could put it at the end of the video.
Oh, sure.
I did get that on the video. So,
well, I am one of your three handsome hosts. DVO next to me.
I guess I'm a handsome host.
I bet your panties you are.
I'm
your dark red beard, you're handsome.
You know it. I'm Beaker.
And I'm Ghosty.
Ghosty McGhostface.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have to try to get a deeper voice. It just kind of happens.
Yeah, I'm happy for you, bro.
Nancy.
I'm so happy for you guys.
My balls dropped.
Mine are up there somewhere.
We'll have your dog pull him down for you.
Don't call his name.
That's why I said dog.
Yeah, good job.
Got tap dance. You got mad at me for that last week.
Yes, I did.
Because he starts trotting around. It sounds like he's got little tap shoes on as he trots around the house. He's looking over his shoulder. He's like, I know you guys are talking about me.
Yeah, he is.
I heard the DOG word.
Mm-hmm.
He's talking smack about me. He's self-conscious now. Poor Ghosty's dog.
Good name.
Awesome. Well, we are going to get into some spooky tales. Specifically, we talked about this, so if you are new to the podcast, we're going to talk about the next few weeks the Conjuring movies. The third one just came out, so we won't talk about it right away, but we will get into it. So no spoiler alerts yet, but go watch the movie.
We're giving you like a 3-week spoiler alert here.
Yeah, you got time. This is, as Ghosty said, the spoiler alert before the spoiler alert. So,
Is it still on HBO Max?
I might be gone now, so you might have to go to theaters or rent.
It could be gone. Why don't you keep talking?
So we're going to talk about the first movie, but we're not going to just talk about the movies themselves. We are going to talk about the movies and also the real life stories behind these. The three of us about 3 years ago met Andrea Perron. So the Conjuring movie was based on the Perron family. I believe they were the second family with paranormal activity. Is that correct? Am I correct in that? Was there another family before them that had some paranormal activity? And then they actually, when the sellers moved out of the house, they said, hey, you might want to sleep with the lights on.
The previous owner's like, whatever you do, don't turn the lights off.
Yeah, leave the lights on.
Yeah.
And then the Perron family moved in there. Well, we met Andrea Perron. We interviewed her, and we are going to try to put together a good audio source and release that as well for you guys.
So just the first two on HBO Max.
Yep.
They took it off. So
I did watch it, and I need to watch it again.
I saw it in theaters.
Actually, I'll go to the theaters to watch it.
Because it's time to go back to the theaters.
Yeah, it is.
That's after a year and a
especially
half.
with that cast and how hot they are.
Oh my
yeah,
God, Patrick Wilson.
Dreamy.
It's funny as they go, I have such a man crush on him, I don't even know his damn name.
That
I
dreamboat
kept calling
Patrick
him
Wilson.
like Patrick Wilkins or something like this.
Just call him Dreamboat. We
Yeah,
all know what we're
Dreamboat.
talking
He's a
about.
Call him
sexy man.
boyfriend. We know who he is.
Anyway, he's a big fan of the podcast. Thanks for listening, Patrick. We know he loves this podcast. He has some ties here to, we'll say, Sundance. So he comes here often. We'll say.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening, Patrick.
Yeah, one of these days we'll have him on the show.
Yes. So let's talk.
I'll give him a text after the show.
I'm going to laugh if we actually have him on the show someday.
So let's talk about the real story. Let's talk about maybe some of the movie. Let's talk about Andrea Perron and her stories with the family. She has become the unofficial spokesperson for her family, let's say, because she's done a lot of the public speaking on behalf of her family, even though
She's
she
the
has
eldest
said,
child, too.
she's the oldest. She said all of her family is open to talk about it. She just has become like this spokesperson in a sense. And she's actually written a whole book about
Three books.
Three-part
books.
Yeah, it's a 3-volume book, about 500 pages each. But it chronicles 10 years, which is unique or different because the movie seems like weeks, months maybe has gone by.
Yeah.
They lived in this house for 10 years, this Perron family.
And Ed and Lorraine Warren visited them 6 times over that.
Right.
It was like over a year and a half. I think they had actually been in the house for 2 or 3 years before the first investigators actually showed up, and then it was a little bit while after that before the Warrens showed up. So they had been in the house for like 3 years before the Warrens ever got there.
And when the Warrens went there, they only went there a few hours at a time. They weren't there like each time they went there. They were maybe there 3 to 5 hours. She was saying.
Should we talk about the things we know about? How are we going to do this episode? Should we talk about the things that we know that are true that happened, and then all the crazy cool shit that happened in the movies?
Let's jump around.
Yeah, let's just go into
jump up, and get down.
Let's get down.
Now, they before they bought the house, the parents, they visited this house a few times beforehand. Not everything seemed great. They were excited about it. But the day they moved in, Andrea Perron said within a few hours, Sherry saw her first apparition.
January 11th, 1971. The house was purchased in December of 1970. The reason why they didn't move in is because it was Christmas and they didn't want to move the family during the Christmas time. But they did move in. It was like very stormy, wintertime in Rhode Island when they moved in.
Yeah.
So they were like moving and like fighting a blizzard type.
And it sounds like it was a long distance from the time they bought it till they moved in. It was a week. It's probably...
Yeah, it was about a month.
December to January.
December to January.
It was about a month. They bought it I think at the beginning of December.
Okay.
Middle of December. So it was a couple weeks.
And so Andrea said within her first few hours, like moving in the house, she already saw a full apparition. She thought it was just one of the movers. She said hi.
I guess her dad gave her a box to put in the kitchen. And she went and asked her mom, like, who's that guy with the guy? I can't remember his name.
Right, yeah.
The guy that owned the house. The guy that was basically they were buying the house from. She's like, who's that guy with him? And her mom's like, there's nobody there. And then it was funny because I guess every single one of her sisters after that, except for maybe April, which is the youngest daughter. The 4 other, I think there's 5 kids total. So the 3 other kids. So the 3 other kids besides Andrea all went to like either Andrea or their mom, and they're like, who's that guy with him? And then I think the one, I think Nancy is the last one that saw it, and she literally saw the guy just like disappear.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So like day one, moving in. Shit's
full
happening.
body apparition.
Full body apparition.
Yeah,
that's like all the kids see. So.
Nothing during. I think she said they visited the house 2, 3, 4 times before they moved in. No problems.
Yeah, as they're trying to get everything finalized, nothing.
Day one.
Day one.
Here we go. Full body apparition, which is, by the way,
very rare.
Very like the most rare in the paranormal is a full body apparition. That's the most rare.
So I think we've talked about this on like our intro to the EVP podcast.
Okay.
I in my 7.5 years of doing this, I've only seen 2 full body apparitions.
I haven't seen any. That's incredible.
So I've seen a few full body apparitions, but never while investigating. Only.
Yeah, same here. One was at my house, and one was at my previous job at Backcountry.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yes, you did talk about
So never on an actual investigation have I seen a full body apparition. I've seen shadow figures.
Right.
I've seen shadows and stuff, but I've never seen full body apparitions on an investigation.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. All right. So anyway, that's getting started. Now, let's talk about the property real quick, because the property itself, which they don't talk about in the movie, so, and it's a farmhouse, but there is a lot of running water going right by the house.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which a lot of, in case you don't know, water has energy. In fact, you can hear sometimes you might hear some water trickling in the background.
It's not me peeing.
No,
it's from me.
It's not you leaking.
It's from me squirting.
You're leaking.
Some fish.
That's
Fish.
gross. What, fish? We weren't talking about fish. We're talking about water.
Yeah, that's what that noise is.
Oh,
over
fish.
There. Yeah, fish.
So the water
God, Baker,
carries
keep up with the conversation.
water carries energy.
Does it?
If you watch Frozen, 2, water has memories.
My God's name, would I watch those movies?
Because they're awesome.
Because they're amazing.
Amazing movies. Frozen is amazing. Think about it. Conjuring, Frozen, what doesn't go better hand in hand than Frozen and Conjuring? Makes total sense.
Yeah.
Come on, give
double
it
cinema night.
Yeah, makes total sense. Perfect drive-through, double feature.
Drive-in.
Conjuring and Frozen?
Yeah.
I'd go to that drive-in movie. I'd leave for one of them.
Are you saying that water doesn't carry energy? Is that what you?
No, it does.
That? Okay.
I just wanted you to explain it.
I'm not a scientist, but but water is a great conduit of energy, and conductor of energy.
That's the word I would use. I don't know if that's the right word.
I don't know either. It kind of came to me on the fly.
I just knew energy was involved.
And you're like, that's part of our name.
Yeah, and I was all electricity and stuff.
I had a vision
of
the paranormal.
So I don't know if that's relatable, But anyway, that was on the property.
In the movie, they did have like the big tree that they said the lady hung herself from.
Yes.
There was like a river right there in the backyard.
Oh, I didn't notice it.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So they didn't really talk about it in the movie, but it was there.
But I think it is a key part.
I think so too.
All right. Where else? Who wants to go next?
Oh, we're looking at
When did they move? So you said January
11th, 1971.
71. So 71 they moved in and they were there till 80, 81?
1980.
Yeah, I think it was 80 when they
1980
when they left.
81, somewhere in there.
And in the first years, I know Andrea said,
dude, the first 5 months were like crazy shit.
Yeah, there were some things in the movies that didn't really, but right away, like the tugging in bed, Andrea said, yep, that was happening. The tugging in the bed was happening.
Cindy was hearing not a voice, but voices surrounding her bed.
Yeah, she was the first one that was experiencing the tugs. I believe Cindy was.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
and Andrea's explanation for that is, I guess when Cindy was like 2 months old, she was having some kind of medical problems. They were doing a surgery on her.
It was like some type of.
Is she the one that was sleepwalking?
I don't
know. I don't
in the
remember
movie.
either.
In the movie, the one that was going into Andrea's room and then walking into her.
Quite possibly, because Cindy was, I think, the second youngest kid.
Right. Yeah, so that was her.
Because it was April, Cindy, and then Nancy and Andrea.
Yeah, those guys.
But Beaker, continue. So, she was born with a defect, I guess is what you say, on her face.
Something in her face. Yeah, so they were doing surgery on her, and I guess she literally died on the operating table.
Yeah.
And they had to revive her. And
she's been to the other side. And so from what Andrea was saying, because we've all three of us, you guys do Buko Boys. I used to do another podcast, but we've all interviewed her. Yes.
You guys interviewed her for Buko Boys. I interviewed her for my previous podcast, and I actually listened to that interview on the way here.
Okay.
And it's like the spirits knew, because she had seen that other side of the veil. The spirits knew that they could see, or she could see and hear them. So they started talking to her first.
Do you guys think that's a real thing, that once you've died, you've basically, maybe the veil's thinner, that you can kind of see both sides?
I think it's entirely possible.
I think it is possible.
Okay.
Well, I don't think it happens every time.
Okay, I like that statement.
I think some people that are open to it, that do get a glimpse of things and then come back and remember it, and then knowing that is that what they saw happened, they might be more open to seeing more things and more things happening to them. Because yes,
it all has to be an age thing, because like it's
just very young,
2 years old.
Yeah, 2 years old.
A lot of times it happens. It's from what I understand, it seems to be more prevalent in people that had like very traumatic deaths, and then they were brought back, as opposed to someone that, like, say you just died while you're sleeping and somehow they revived you or whatever.
Got it.
Yes.
All right, so I
think it's an age thing on that one.
Yeah, well, 'cause I know the defect that she had, I guess, was very dangerous for young people to get the surgery, but I guess it was pretty large on her face. I still don't even know what it is exactly, but so it was more risky, and obviously she did die, and they brought her back. So you were saying Andrew suggests maybe that's why she was, I don't know.
That's what it sounded like,
quote unquote, picked on.
Yeah,
could be.
It's like, I think that's the theory, is
she's
because
one
of that.
Us.
Because of that death, it put her kind of closer to that side of the veil, or that side, or maybe adjusted her frequency, however you want to look at it.
Easier to get to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she could have also been born with like some gifts as well, and
true.
I mean, like so people like Brandy, who are born with their gifts, their energy is different. I'm like, everybody's energy is different, but like spirits can see that or pick up on that when somebody's energy is different. So they're going to be more attracted to that person and want to talk to that person because they know.
Yeah, in fact, I'll give you a good example. So our good friend Caden, who's a medium, I mean, he says that if he walks into any house or store or building or whatever, and there, he sees spirits, there's spirits just always walking amongst us, but they can pick up like, oh, actually, that guy, Caden, he can see me. And they'll try to get his attention to try to tell him something, or they'll try to get his attention.
See, I don't know if you've experienced that, Ghosty, but I have. On investigations, anyways. Not just like out and about.
Yeah, never out and about. Blah, blah, blah. Have I had that? But
I'm so glad that we don't edit and we just leave all this shit in.
Hell yeah.
You don't got time for editing.
Yeah, nobody got time for that. Don't you don't play that.
Well, I think it just shows more authenticity.
Yeah.
So you have bigger. You've had like you feel like you've had a spirit like reach out to you say, hey.
On investigations, yeah, I've had spirits that have kind of like try to get my attention.
Okay.
And knowing that I can. I've had spirits even like frustrated with me because they're like, "Why don't you open the light, cross me over?" And I'm just like, "I don't know how to do that
yet." Come back to me.
Come back later.
I'm still working on it.
But yes, I think it's very true. They can tell the people that can see them or sense them or hear them or feel them or whatever. They're more drawn to that energy.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
I guess my aspect of it is I don't feel like I get approached by anything in an investigation because I'm trying to approach them.
That makes sense.
Oh, that's an
like,
interesting take.
Here I am. Come and talk to me.
I have had it at my house a couple times too, where I've gotten home from work and I've had. It's funny because there's Brandy's actually put a binding on my house, so only my aunt can come and go. But she's a spirit, and I remember feeling the frustration and anger from this one spirit because he couldn't come up on the sidewalk. That's because it goes from the sidewalk.
So when you say you should put a binding on your house, explain that.
So she knows some different magics, more or less. Magic. Different like practices from, she's learned stuff about Wicca and voodoo and some other things. And it's more or less a spell that she puts on the house, and it keeps and as long as you're not like actually inviting spirits onto your property. So like if she goes and does a binding at someone's house and the homeowner is like, after we leave, they're like, come on in, it's okay, the binding is not going to work,
right?
If that makes sense. So obviously I don't invite stuff into my property, but I could feel this
or your body.
Or my body.
That's why you're a virgin.
Nothing wrong with that.
I told you not to tell me.
Sorry. Spoiler alert.
They're going to make a movie after me now. 40-year-old ghost virgin. So I could feel the frustration for the spirit because it couldn't get up onto my property. And I actually happened to be on the phone with Brandy at the time, and she was able to explain to me, like, yeah, he wants you to help him. And I'm just like, sorry, dude, can't help you. And then Brandy's grandma, Annie, showed up and kind of directed the spirit, like, hey, there's a portal down that way. Go into the portal. And directed him in a different way. So I've had it happen a couple times. So, yeah, it's my personal belief and from my personal experiences, yes, spirits can sense when someone can...
It's sensitive.
See them. Yeah, it's sensitive, more or less.
Yeah. Okay, that makes it. All right.
So, yes, to add long story short, yes.
Or what else? I know you guys both kind of watched the movie a little more recently than me. What else kind of happened in the movie that, I don't know, kind of
that's
significant?
Real? None.
Well, I don't know. In the movie, what's really cool, the spook factor is that damn clap game.
Which never really happened.
Yeah, but it added some spook factor. It made the jumps.
Yeah,
it made the jumps.
When you go for jump scares, yeah, especially like, what was it when they're in the cellar or like the stairway to the cellar, and just this random, or was it the mom?
The mom was pushed down the stairs,
and there's like random hands come out of the darkness and just like clap behind her.
Yeah,
because she gets like the light was on or something down there. Yeah. She goes down there and then she's like yelling at it. Or no, yeah, she said something down the stairs, like yelling at that, whatever's down there, you're going to get locked in, whatever. Uh-huh. Goes to turn around, and then the door shuts on her face, and then she goes tumbling down the stairs.
Yes.
And then she goes scurrying back to the top, the light bulb breaks, and she's lighting a match. Uh-huh. And that's all that's lit up. And then she's like calling down there, and then the hands come from behind her, and you just see it in the the light of the matches.
Now, you gotta remember, this movie was based off of the Warrens' tales, right? So none of that, they weren't there during clapping games or anything.
Yeah,
like that.
Warner Brothers was there though.
Yeah,
Warner Brothers was there, and they
got it 100% right.
Everything is real.
Even though Andrea said they do like the way that the movie came out, like the way it was portrayed.
Yeah, I guess her mom really liked it.
Yeah.
Her mom didn't watch it for like almost a year after it came out, like on DVD. But they liked the way the movie came out. But
knowing that it was going to be Hollywood.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
honestly, like the stuff that I heard from Andrea, the stuff that really happened. You think the movie's scary? You'd probably shit your pants watching what actually happened.
Well, and that's what she said. Because I guess I can't remember if Andrea or someone else was kind of from the family was giving input, and
well, they were going they were taking stuff from her book.
They just said we can't use this stuff. This is too
scary.
Too scary. We can't use this.
So
I think even James Wan was just like, "What can we do to make it PG-13?" And they're just like, "Nothing. Too scary."
Yeah,
it's R.
Andrea Perron's book is not on audio. It's only on actual
Paperback.
book
Like paperback and that. I did find it on
Kindle.
Kindle. You can get the 3-book series for like $10 on Kindle.
So if anyone wants to read it to me and then put it on file so I can listen to it later.
Or
Yeah,
Ghosty will pull up a chair next to his bed, and you can just read to him at night.
Just read to me before I go to bed.
He likes it when you curl your fingers through his hair.
And what's her name of her book again?
So it's House of Darkness, House of Light.
Because it's not always dark in that house.
Right.
That's why.
Well,
the later years, the last 5 years, it was more of a light feel. To the house.
Andrea has said that in the way she likes the portrayal through the movie is that it's not a paranormal story, it's a love story. She says that what happened to her in those 10 years is a love story. It's how the Perron family stuck together. They bonded. They came over evil, however you want to say it. So she loves that was also portrayed in the movie, and that's the baseline of her book. Basically, it's an intimate story, is what she calls it. But not all the kids would say that, especially Cindy, actually, who we were just talking about. Cindy would actually, because Andrea would say this was the best 10 years of her life. Cindy would say this was the worst 10 years of my life. I wish it never happened. I wish I never lived there. Which is the one that we talked about. That was
I think Cindy got the worst of it out of all the kids.
Yeah, I remember Andrea telling a story because Ghosty asked her about that whole hide and seek game or clap game. She goes, "No, that didn't happen." I'll tell you what did happen though. Cindy got pushed into the chimney, or was it a chimney or something like that? She got stuck. She got jammed in there and was being forced in there. She couldn't breathe and she was just being smothered and pushed up against. I think she said it was into the chimney or something like that.
We got to listen to that again because I can't remember what part.
Yeah,
they try to portray that in the movie.
Yeah,
they did that with like
because no one was dragged. She was like no one was dragged like in the movie. Yeah. But she was Cindy was just she was jammed up. She was pushed into like I want to say chimney.
Well, it was in the movie. It was like a chimney.
Yeah, I mean,
that was hidden behind the wall.
Well, something was there, and Cindy was just they couldn't get her out, and she couldn't even scream because she couldn't even breathe, and she was just getting held and pushed into the corner. So yeah, it was almost like Cindy was tormented for 10 years, while the other family, and maybe Andrea was the oldest, and so she was.
So I wonder if because she got together with her sisters to write this book. Mm-hmm. So I'm pretty sure a ton of Cindy's stories are in this book.
Oh, I'm sure.
Who wants to read this book to me?
Not me.
Message us at evp.pod@gmail.com and tell me who wants to read me some stories.
Let's find it on YouTube and see if there's like a
Or what else? What else?
Let's talk about how the Warrens even got called over there.
Well, there's so much stuff that happened before.
Exactly. But when the Warrens even got the call, it wasn't. It was this other team that called them to come to
call the Warrens.
That called the Warrens.
So let's talk about this. So talk about the other team and how they came about.
So that team, they were what was the name of their team?
Pyro.
Scary.
And it was
Paranormal Researchers of
Yorkshire. I don't know.
Okay.
The Shire. Frodo Baggins was their leader. Keith and Carl Johnson.
Those demonologist brothers.
Twin
brothers.
So, because
what's funny is one was like a really good Christian and the other one was like a Satanist, apparently.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Those names were thrown around, and I was like, "Yeah, you say those names all day. I don't know who you're talking about."
Keith Keith is a good one. Carl was the Satanist.
But they're all over like any paranormal research shows, and it shows like these demonologist guys. It was like their hair looks like yours, Beaker.
Bald?
No, red. Well, you're an ombre. You're so multicolored here.
Like a rainbow.
Why do you think I keep the beard? My hair used to be red.
This is a carpet match the pew.
Yes. Yes, it
Because
does.
in the movie,
They don't ask that in the movie.
Mrs. Perron, the mom of the
Caroline.
girls, Caroline. Yes, thank you. In the movie, she walked up to the Warrens and said, "Hey, can you at one of their speeches, lectures, and just said, please, you come over." No, she did not go up to the Warrens.
No.
So go ahead, continue.
So what happened was the twin brothers got a call from Caroline saying that she needed help and with their address and everything. And then they showed up and nobody knows why they're there or who called them.
Yeah, I guess Roger was on his way out the door because he worked over the road. And this group of teenagers just showed up on the front doorstep, basically.
Right.
And I guess Carolyn was asking Roger, like, hey, go talk to these people, figure out what the hell they want. And he's like, I got to go. You deal with it. And so they like came up to the door and they're like, hey, we're looking for Caroline. We spoke to her on the phone about stuff that's going on here at the house. And she was just like, who are you? Excuse me. And they introduced themselves and she's like, yeah, I've never heard of you and I've never spoken to you. But the dude like recognized her voice and he's like, yeah, I had a conversation with you on the phone. So
that's interesting.
So they got a phone call, according to them,
Told them about the house.
that told them about the house,
Gave them
and
the
the
address.
voice, they gave them the address and everything. The voice was the mom's voice, but she didn't make the call. She doesn't like.
Oh,
I mean,
interesting.
either she did it while she was sleepwalking, which I highly doubt,
Right.
or something else reached out to this.
I think somebody might have used her body as a vessel.
It's possible. I don't know for sure, and I don't know if we'll ever know.
Interesting.
But something or someone reached out to
Let's
this
make
team.
theories and make it reality in our own heads.
Okay. Yes, Bathsheba possessed Caroline.
She was possessed.
to call the Johnsons.
And we
I believe it.
So, but even though we're gonna get into how the Warrens got there, I do want to. Well, we can definitely gotta make sure we talk about Bathsheba.
Okay, we will.
So you just touched his weenus,
Yeah.
and he laughed
Hummed.
about it. Yep, he was
Purred. I purred.
Yep, that's what that noise was. That wasn't a walrus. That was dirt.
DVO.
Yeah, my bad.
All right. So
Ghosty.
these brothers go. Did they start investigating?
I think so.
Yes.
And they said, "This is too spooky.
Pretty
This is
much.
spooky,
I
spooky,
guess.
spooky stuff. Spooky stuff. We need the Warrens."
No, that's weird, wild stuff. So yeah, they did call the Warrens.
Do anyone know what their connection to the Warrens was?
No, I was just about to ask that.
Okay.
I don't know.
Is it just because they probably are from the same area, and also
They went to lectures.
there probably wasn't a lot of
I think the
paranormal
Warrens.
researchers.
So these people are actually from Rhode Island University, and the Warrens were doing a
Lectures at
the
Rhode
university.
Island.
Yeah.
They were commingling paranormal stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
We made it up in our heads. It makes sense.
Yep.
We like it.
Theories,
We're going with it.
True. States.
Solved. Okay.
No,
Statements.
no, no.
Okay.
That's in the interview.
Oh,
I did with her.
perfect. Good thing we threw nothing but facts out.
Yes. So no, yeah, there was the lecture going on at the university, and I
Makes
believe
sense.
that's how the connection came about, and that's the story I'm sticking to.
That's
Do
just like we said.
you want to know about all the crazy stuff that happened before these people even got there?
Yes.
Yeah.
So one of the things that Andrea told me, besides them seeing, so the first couple things were seeing the guy, and then the voices, and then within the first month, I guess her mom was going outside to look for something. I can't remember what it was, but she went out to the barn,
Okay.
and up on the ceiling of the barn on one of the cross beams, there was one of those like hand scythe
Okay.
that you used to
Okay. Grim Reaper stuff.
Grim Reaper.
yeah, Green Reapers, but like little small ones with the big circle on it.
handheld one.
Yeah. So I guess that was up on the crossbeam on the ceiling. And I guess when she was in there in the barn looking around, she heard this like whooshing sound. And when she looked up, this thing was just like spinning, like really fast, just like going crazy. And then it got to the point where it finally just like flew off and hit her in the neck. And they believe that, not that they believe, but they say that the only reason why she survived this thing hitting her in the neck is because she was, layered up, because it's, January, February at this time.
Right.
Layered up because it's cold, and she's wearing this big, like, heavy leather bomber jacket that that Roger had, because he used to be in the Navy. And all these layers in the jacket, like, took the brunt of the damage. So that actually saved her life.
Holy crap.
But it ruined the jacket, from what she said. Some of the other things that they experienced was her mom was in her room and all of a sudden started hearing like this popping, cracking noise, and then like the wall above the dresser just like caught on fire, right?
Wow.
And just burning. Like she's freaking out because her kids are in the house and she's worried that the house is just going to burn down. And then after like a minute or so, I don't know how long it was, but it just went out. And when she looked around, there was no evidence of a fire at all. Like it just, like it was there and it was gone.
Interesting.
The one really creepy thing, this is within 5 months of moving into the house. And this is one that like I kind of want to see it in a movie and I kind of don't.
All right.
Because this is creepy as shit. So I guess all the kids had their rooms upstairs, right?
Uh-huh.
And I think the parents slept in the basement, and they had it was like 2 rooms that they combined into one room. Some previous homeowner did. And she was saying that the parents always slept with the doors open in case the kids need them or anything. And so that if they're shouting, the kids can hear them and that. And so one of the nights that they're sleeping, their mom felt someone near the bed. And without opening her eyes, she just instinctively kind of reached out to, comfort the kid and, ask what's wrong. And I guess when she finally opened her eyes, there was like a full body apparition standing at the edge of the bed. And some of the ways that she described it was like, she was wearing period clothing of like 1800, somewhere in there. She said her neck was like bent, like broken, and her head looked like a hornet's nest.
Whoa.
It was just like creepy. And I guess her hand was like, there was no skin. And I think it was like bony fingers, and it was like reaching out and it like grabbed her. And, I guess she started trying to scream, but she couldn't scream. Nothing was coming out. So she was only screaming in her head. And I guess she was trying to wake Roger up, her husband. And I guess she was like, twisted her fingers in his hair. Cause I guess, early 70s, like hippie long black hair,
okay,
right?
Okay.
So she's like yanking on his hair. She said, Andrea said that her mom was literally like pulling the hair out of his head, shaking him violently, trying to wake him up. And she couldn't wake him up. And they said it was very unusual because he was a very light sleeper. So her mom, Caroline, thought that Roger was dead at this point. And she thought she was going to be next.
You're right.
And the weird thing is I guess they didn't tell any, I guess Andrea was kind of like psychically linked, or she might have been like astral projecting, but she basically described it as like she was like a fly on the wall in the bedroom when this was happening and saw the whole thing happening, even though she was upstairs sleeping. And I guess when her mom started screaming in her head, because she wasn't actually screaming out loud, Andrea could hear her mom screaming. And then I guess that woke her up, and she was more or less experiencing some type of sleep paralysis because she said she couldn't move. I guess one of the points when Caroline was trying to wake Roger up, she saw his back, and it said it looked like someone had like taken their fingernails and just like scraped the crap out of his back. And there was like blood blisters, and it was just, beat to crap. And he described it as like a really like burning sensation. And then suddenly, I guess the apparition just like disappeared, and Caroline was able to like talk again, and they finally got Roger awake. And I guess like he felt the burning sensation on his back, and I think when they were opening like the closet door or whatever, there might have been some kind of mirror, and they were trying to show him, and as they were showing him, it just vanished. All the scratches and stuff on his back just went away. And even despite all of this happening, he was kind of in denial. Like he didn't want to believe that anything was actually going on. And I think it was a short time after that is when, or maybe it was another year or so, but I mean, that's just some of the creepy stuff that happened. I think it was after that the Johnsons randomly showed up.
Now, you remember, you just realized that all those stories you just mentioned were all about Caroline? All these creepy stories?
Yes.
So Andrea had a theory.
Obsessed much?
First Patrick Wilson, no Caroline Perron.
Don't be jealous.
So Andrea So let's talk about Bathsheba. So Lorraine Warren sensed that Bathsheba, and who's Bathsheba? Was she like a neighbor?
Bathsheba Sherman.
Yeah, she was like a neighbor, right?
I think she was like a nanny.
Oh, okay. She had passed away. Yeah, she passed away, and she kind of sensed her, but
yeah, they didn't tell her anything about it. But like when Lorraine showed up, she like closed her eyes and put her hand on the stove, and she's like, "Someone named Bathsheba used to live here."
Yeah, and so that part was accurate, but then nothing else. Like Andrea said, no, Bathsheba's spirit wasn't really around bothering, but there was a spirit that Andrea thinks had a crush on her dad, and that's why he was targeting Caroline. Because the spirit was jelly much.
This is new to me.
Yeah, so that was Andrea's theory when she talked to us on our podcast, was that the spirit might have really liked her dad, and so that's why she was jealous of Caroline and wanted to bother her.
That would make sense.
Makes a lot of sense.
Oh yeah, there was also like.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I guess some of the stuff that Cindy heard. There were 7 soldiers buried in the walls of the house.
Oh.
They never did find them.
Okay.
So they don't know if it's actually true or not, but that's what the voices were telling her.
Oh, okay.
That there were 7 spirits of soldiers buried in the walls. Which I found interesting, because going back and listening to that interview I did with her, I had shown a picture of the house from like, I think the 1970s to Brandy, and she confirmed, I believe that there was actually like 7 spirits in the photo. So it's possible those soldiers were actually buried in the house. I don't know for sure.
That is interesting.
She also did mention inhuman entity that was in a photo in the 1800s and the 1970 picture. It was the same entity in both pictures, 100 years apart.
Does it look the same to her?
Yeah, it did.
I wonder if they change after so long, or if they just remain looking the same.
I don't know.
Ageless.
Or they just make themselves
Maybe.
look... Because are they presenting themselves a certain way in the picture, other than what they really look like?
It was like the same window of the house, 100 years apart, same entity. But that I didn't ask her, so I don't know.
Question.
So there was definitely spirits there. But yeah, the Warren showed up.
Imagine
Evil ones.
Evil.
those kids having technology that we have today, and all having cell phones with cameras on it.
Real quick, though, because I do want to talk about that. So all of them, all of the kids, in fact, the whole family, all 7 of them, to their best knowledge, none of them had paranormal experiences before this house. None of them had any type of...
They didn't even know what the paranormal really was.
Yeah, they didn't have any, special abilities. But Andrea said all of the family now, after being in the house, she said, there's no way you can live in a house like this for 10 years and not get tuned into some things. It's just like paranormal investigating, right? You might not really know anything or have any type of abilities, but after a while you start doing it, you start hearing other people who talk, you start thinking, oh, I kind of have these feelings or senses, and all of a sudden it starts getting tuned in. And so Andrea said that they all have, at this point, now have all some type of, abilities, you could say.
Yeah.
But yeah, your question. So today, with smartphones,
Yes.
technology,
That'd be all over
think
TikTok.
keep going with your.
I just think about the things I experienced as a kid, and if I had a cell phone to record all
Would
the
you
shit.
have though?
Oh hell yeah! There's been a couple times where
You're not like too frozen where you're like, oh my god, I can't move. I'm scared.
There was a few times after so long of things happening where like I knew something would happen.
Yeah.
So like picking up on things, picking up on senses. I would pick up on senses, and I knew something was going to happen. Mm-hmm. At that point, I'd pull out my camera and I'd start recording. Spidey senses, my ghosty senses.
Is there any
Felt
other?
My ghosty senses
tingle.
were going crazy.
His ghosty tingle.
So at that point, I would pull out my phone and start recording. But as a kid, there was no phones.
Yeah.
And I would just wait for something to happen, and sure as shit, something would always happen.
Okay. Shit is very sure.
Shit is sure.
That's very sure.
Sure as shit.
It raises his hand. Because it's sure.
Nobody will know that commercial.
So it's a sure commercial.
Somebody on the last podcast knew my Super Troopers reference. She told me at work.
But yeah, today, okay, and most of these, all these Conjuring movies, the Amityville horror, like these big high-profile cases, all are decades old.
Demons.
Why do you not hear about some of these today?
You have.
Don't you
crazy...
watch Nuke's Top 5?
I don't even know who that is.
Well, didn't Zach Baggins did that Hell House one?
Okay.
Oh. Is that the one he like tore down after the... Yeah, dude, I watched that episode. That was crazy. Some of that stuff that happened in that episode was actually
where that kid
legit.
going up the wall.
Uh-huh.
And the social worker, was it the social worker or was it like a counselor that saw it?
I don't know.
I think it was a counselor, maybe.
I know Zach was in the house by himself, and they like boarded him in, and he heard voices and like actually got touched while he was in one of the bedrooms. Like that was all legit. That wasn't staged or anything. That actually was like spirits interacting with him.
I was watching it again. I do remember who in the house was it? Like
he bought that. I don't know. It was like some family
or who owned it. Yeah,
but he ended up buying the house, did the investigation, and then tore it down.
Yeah, this needs to be rubble.
Speaking of that guy, we're gonna go investigate his museum next week.
I wish I could be there.
I wish you could too.
I'm going to Colorado.
Yeah, we are going to Zach Baggins' Haunted Museum.
But not just to
go through the museum. We're actually investigating
the museum.
It's the EVP special. EVP, come down to my... obviously, Zach Baggins is also a big listener to our podcast. Big fan.
Big fan.
Totally endorses the show in no way whatsoever, but all the time does he do it.
Yeah. And he's like, you guys need to come investigate my museum. Yeah. And we're like, of course.
Yeah, for a special low price of free $59.99. I wish. Was it like $100?
I wish.
I almost want to just blow off Colorado and go just fly down there.
It'll be fun. Awesome. It'll be fun.
But yeah, Zach Baggins, Patrick Wilson. I'm pretty sure Vera Farmiga at this point is a huge fan as well.
Yeah, they all listen to the show.
Yeah.
I'll talk to her later.
Yeah.
Oh, she might be the one that reads to you, actually.
Actually, of all these people that we could reach out to, I can actually message Andrea. I actually friends with her on the Book of Faces.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anything else? I'm trying to think of it.
Bathsheba did die. I think they did die in the house, and it was believed that she was a witch, and they think that she killed an infant child in the house, even though there's no evidence of any witchcraft
which makes it a nice
infant child.
Twist to put in the movie.
But yeah, that was some of the history or theories that Bathsheba's a witch. And in the movie, they have Bathsheba like possessing the mom,
throwing up in her mouth, doing that,
having her they like tie her to a chair
gross swap that she did.
Yeah, what?
You didn't remember that she wakes up and she's like floating above her face?
Oh,
and then she does that nasty swap with her right in her mouth.
Snowball. What? Don't look that up. Yeah. No, that didn't happen. Neither did the exorcism. They didn't Ed didn't just do an exorcism on the spot. This is one of my favorite parts. I guess they showed up with their whole crew, and Roger was like, you know what? No, this isn't happening. You guys need to go. And I think it got to the point to where Lorraine Warren actually said to Roger, if you love your wife, you will do this.
And how did Roger respond?
Oh, my goodness. She's lucky that he didn't hit her. I think Ed and like two other guys had to drag Roger out of the room. They showed up with like a priest and a medium as well.
Uh-huh.
And they dragged him out of the room, and they spent like an hour and a half like convincing him to do this. They essentially did a seance, and shit just started going crazy. To the point where this like 300-pound table that they were sitting at started to levitate off the floor. And then like it just all of a sudden slammed down on the floor, and she said that there was actually still the imprints of this table on the wood floor.
Oh wow!
From slamming
from this 300-pound table slamming down on the floor. And I think at one point, if I remember correctly, and I could be wrong, but I think the chair that Caroline was in lifted up and she was thrown across the room.
Oh, interesting.
And Roger went to go check on his wife, and I guess Ed had grabbed Roger's arm to stop him, and he decked him and broke his nose. And Roger broke Ed Warren's nose. And then went to go check on his wife.
So Roger actually never liked the Warrens. He just didn't like the vibes from them. He didn't like them coming over. He didn't like anything about them. However, Like Andrea says, she actually thought that they went there with good intentions. She
she
liked
they
everything.
took advantage of them. I think they did. But yeah, she did say that she thought they were there with good intentions.
Yeah.
But after this happened, I guess he literally basically told them to get the F out of the house. So they started cleaning up their stuff. They went into the basement. The crew did, because they set up a lot of cameras down there, because there was a lot of experiences apparently in the basement. And when they went down to get their stuff, it was shattered into pieces. Like everything was just broken. Like someone had just went through and just smashed it all onto the floor.
I didn't know that.
The one thing that I do remember she said was true in the movie, they record interviews with the family, right? And when they go play it back, it's just white noise. It's just static. That's true. That actually happened, and I think that's it. That was true.
Okay.
From the movie.
And the names in the city.
So let's talk about the mom, because didn't she go through a haze for a while? Like she just was like
Years.
Yeah, like years.
She wouldn't eat, sleep. Like she lived off of coffee and cigarettes, is what.
Exactly. Now, do you remember the story of her Caroline, the mom, walking into the kitchen?
Yeah, actually, I just listened to that on the other interview.
Okay, you want to talk about that?
So I guess Andrea had made dinner that night. She made beef stew, and
I found this story fascinating.
And I guess Caroline was like, "Hey, what'd you make the girls for dinner?" And she's like, "Beef stew." And she's like, "Good, I'm hungry." And I guess they were all ecstatic because her mom,
she's never been hungry.
She hadn't been eating for a while. And, back then they didn't have microwaves, so that she couldn't just throw it in the microwave and heat it up for her. So she had to go back in there and heat it up. And I guess while this was going on, her mom saw, like, I guess the fireplace was like lit. There was a raging fire going on in the fireplace that had been boarded up for like 100 years. So there was no way to actually do it. But she saw two men sitting at a table drinking out of like pewter glass or steins, which at this point in time, pewter steins had been banned basically, or outlawed, because I guess they found that it was poisonous or whatever,
lead or something.
Yeah. So, and she said everyone was dressed up in like 1800 style clothing, and she saw like, the kids running around the kitchen and playing and having a good time. And what I think is interesting is the fact that these two guys, like the one sitting there, and he just kind of like nudges the other guy and points at Andrea's mom.
Yeah.
And it was like Andrea's mom was the ghost.
Yes.
To this family. But at the same time, this family was ghost to her. And they think, she described it as kind of like the house was like a portal.
Right.
And it was like this family was from the past was looking in the family on the future.
Yes. And she was looking into the family of the past.
And it's just, I think it was at that moment she kind of snapped out of her funk and became their normal mom again.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Like time travel, dimensions, planes. All of this is just the most interesting.
What do you think those guys thought looking at her and her period clothing?
From the future, man.
Yeah, but like, what would they think?
I mean, who knows what she's wearing? Probably a nightgown.
But they might be thinking that she's a ghost, so she's wearing something like they probably wouldn't. Oh, that would just.
That's crazy.
Just thinking about seeing a ghost from the not really a ghost, but like what is that even called?
I don't know. That's the thing.
That's called a residual haunting
from the past.
But from the past. But if the past is seeing you from the future,
right?
Wah, 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 wah.
Mind freak.
Yeah, my head just exploded. Sorry.
That's what I found was so fascinating is that perspective. The perspective of she's seeing people in period clothing from the 1800s, so she's looking something in the past, but yet they see her too.
And they're seeing in the future, and what are they thinking she looks like?
Yeah, I mean, if she's been not bedridden, but she's chose to be just kind of laying around in bed. She might just be wearing a nightgown, so it might not seem too crazy.
Yeah, I'm
but
not going to say anything bad.
but you gotta think like all of a sudden, so maybe they'll know she's from the future, but they might be even saying like, back in the 1800s, we were just sitting there one day, and we had a fire going. We're just sitting at the table having some coffee or beer, whatever they're drinking, and all of a sudden we just see the spirit just walk into our kitchen,
like she belongs.
Yeah, like she owned the place, and then disappeared. Like they've got a story to tell too. So I don't know how to explain it. It's a mind freak.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't know. That's the first and only time I've heard of an experience like that.
Right. Huh. But it's because of their reaction of them noticing her.
Yeah.
Yeah, like just like the nudge, like, hey man, you see this? You see what I'm seeing right here? Yeah, it's so weird.
But at the same time, when we're on investigations ourselves, let's say we're in a haunted location, all the spirits are going to be able to see us, right?
And they think we're from the future. Like, what are they wearing?
But, I mean, they know what's going on for the most part.
Some of them do, not all of them.
I mean, well, yeah. Yes.
So it could have been just, it could have been a portal. It could have been some sort of like gateway that was showing the two different time frames at the same time.
Is it a Twilight Zone?
It is.
It could have been the ghost just like, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it.
But these type of stories,
it's the Bermuda Triangle.
And going back to this topic of, some of these stories, like, you don't really hear these very much anymore. And I guess those type of stories you didn't hear often either.
Clearly, you don't get lost in the dark hole of YouTube.
Maybe not.
I'm glad I don't.
There's so many. If I watch,
there's so many fake stuff out there too.
There is a lot of fake stuff.
Because the easy accessibility of these cameras, that everyone has a camera on their phone, so it's so easy to start recording just random stuff like podcasts or something.
Yeah, I know. Well, you have to believe everything you hear on the internet. It's all true.
That's what Abe Lincoln said. The internet's true.
The internet's true.
Yeah, Abe Lincoln did say that.
Right, Benjamin Franklin agreed with him. When he invented lightning.
He said, "Excelsior!" Lightning came out of his fingers.
I was there. I saw that live.
That struck his key, and then he was able to unlock every door in the world.
Yes.
And that's how we got telephones.
That's where telephones got born.
Who needs history when you guys listen and watch the EVP podcast? History classes for squares. Man.
Yeah.
Listen to this episode.
Losers.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. So, all right, let's talk about that. You said going down the wormholes of YouTube. Are you seeing a lot of crazy, like, paranormal
Oh my gosh! So
videos that you think are
Nuke's
legit?
top 5. Nuke's top 5. Look that up on YouTube.
Okay.
I was actually I've had a couple of people mention this to me before. I was actually watching my friend's Twitch stream the other night, and that's what she was doing. I was just watching just a bunch of these.
So you were watching somebody watch.
I was watching somebody watch somebody.
That sounds horrible.
No, but you're watching it with them, and then because she's got the chat window up because it's on Twitch, you're able to respond and interact with her.
Through typing or through talking?
Through typing.
So she can choose who she wants to talk to.
Yeah, but she actually goes down and reads all the comments. So yeah. She actually, I want to give her a shout out because she actually gave us a shout out on the
for real?
on her Twitch stream. She's like, "Yeah, you do a podcast, don't you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I started a new one." And she's like, "Oh, what's the link to it?" So I put the link tree up on her Twitch stream for people to see. So we might get some more listeners on this one.
Sweet.
But yeah, every time I'm on there watching her stream, she always, especially when she's doing paranormal stuff like this, she's like, "I don't know if y'all know this, but he's actually a paranormal investigator and he does a podcast." So I did throw my link tree up. I don't know how many people are actually going to click on it.
What's her name?
Her name is, her Twitch name is Azteca Fox.
Yeah, that's you.
Ooh, I like that name.
But yeah,
That is pretty exotic.
She'll do every now and then, like, she'll watch horror films and just with all of her Twitch viewers. And
I never got it on Twitch.
She's the only one I watch on Twitch. I don't really care for much. I mean, she's a friend of mine. I've actually
She's the
met
only
her.
one that matters, though.
She's a friend of mine. I've met her in person. Really cool. So yeah.
Okay, well that's cool then, because then it's like you're interacting with your buddy.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right.
I did look up the Nuke's top 5. I actually have seen plenty of those, so I do know what you mean. I sound familiar. I know exactly what it is.
Yeah, he just reviews a bunch of like different paranormal videos on the internet. There's so many that pop up on TikTok.
Is he the one that has the voice?
No. I can't stand that guy. I don't know who that is. That guy's
he has a voice and he talks
like
this.
We both know exactly what you're talking about. And then they went to the tree, and then it was very haunted. When you listen to our podcast, you'll be very excited to know that we talk to ghosts. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the EVP podcast. I'm your host, Beaker.
I've heard he does that on purpose.
He does
to be different.
because he has other channels. He has other shows that he does.
Oh, he does. Okay.
And he talks in a normal voice on his other videos. But just on the paranormal ones, he uses that voice where you're strolling down the street and you see an apparition. God, it's so annoying.
I'm gonna punch him every time I hear it.
You know, it's funny.
I stopped watching.
I think he does that for the reactions because there's so many comments on his videos.
Because we're gonna get him more listeners now.
We didn't mention his name, so
yeah, but now they're gonna go searching.
Search for the paranormal guy with the
How
weird
do you talk
voice.
like this and then like this?
God.
That was funny.
God.
Well,
Makes me want to punch a baby Syl.
Are we missing anything else? We catch like parts of the. Or I mean, what kind of parts of the movie did you guys enjoy of the Conjuring movie? Even though most of it was
The end.
Hollywoodized.
I just like the jump scares.
Finished.
The whole. I mean, these are the only type of horror movies that I'm really into. Are
They're done really well.
The paranormal type that are jump scares, that are especially, I don't know, just like the spirit oriented type of paranormal hauntings like this movie. So I'm really into these. So I like the jump scares because I've had them. I've had them in real life. I'm all about it.
I could do without the jump scares. Tell the story.
You're so brave, Beaker.
But it gets you more involved when you're just like.
Oh, wait until we talk about the third one.
But I like
Just
being
wait.
involved. I like being involved. Okay, so I like the jump scares because I feel like.
So go see it in 3D.
Do they even have 3D anymore?
Not anymore.
Yeah,
No. That failed.
They do have 4D in like Vegas and in Disneyland,
It'll fail.
but I don't know if they have scary ones. I know have the like a Star Wars like 4D thing, interactive.
They're gonna fail.
Interactive.
No,
thing.
the interactive theater things.
The interactive theater.
When they spray water in your face, so they.
No.
Not a movie.
Not those 4D. Like not
Oh.
not like at the aquarium and that. It's an interactive thing. You're actually like walking around and it's like kind of like a virtual reality type experience.
Okay.
I haven't done one. I want to.
All right.
I know they've got one in Vegas. I know they got one in downtown Disney.
So we're going to England next week. Is that where the second one?
Yeah,
filmed?
that is where it
Based
is.
in? Okay.
Yeah.
Enfield,
So,
England.
so while we go to Zach Bagans' house and hang out with him, and then have him maybe come on our podcast, who knows? That guy's all over the place when we go
We
hang
might
out
run
with
into
him.
Patrick Wilson. Who knows?
But we'll see if we can put together some good clips of our interviews with Andrea, maybe, and publish that so you guys can kind of hear her side of the story. I know she's been working on deals to make this book that we just talked about that she has into a movie, which would be cool because it's coming from a different perspective.
I think it was like a 3-part movie.
The what?
I think it was going to be like a 3-part movie.
Yeah,
kinda
most
like for
probably
each book.
it could be because it's going to, the Conjuring movies are from the perspective of the Warrens, and her book is the perspective of the family living
It's
in it
from the
through
perspective
10 years.
of Hollywood.
The Conjuring movies,
Don't
yes.
touch it.
But
I would not touch it anymore.
but Andrew's movie, if it finally goes through and they get working on it, would be from the perspective of the family that experienced it for 10 years.
Yeah, because this Babadoo is going to be based on the books.
Dabba dabba doo. All right.
Yeah, these movies are going to be based on the books.
I hope you guys enjoyed the synopsis of the Conjuring movie.
And me trying to learn how to talk.
Ghosty out.
Peace out, butterflies.
Woo! This is the EVP podcast.
Why do I have
see
to
if I
be so
talk.
fat?
You take a little swig there and we'll get started. I should do voices. Twist, twist, twist.
I'm going to put this at the end of the
Twist,
video.
twist, twist. My voices are just be like saying what they're doing. Resting on table.
Arms resting. Ringing bell.
Smiling.
Ringing.
Smiling in English.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, have you seen Japanese smiles? Way different.
Best closed captions ever. Smiles in English.